What happens when a janitor's son repeats something overheard in the boardroom? The whole company stops, and no one dares ask who told him. She wasn't supposed to hear, but she did, and that changed everything. The woman cleaning conference room B had her earbuds in. At least that's what everyone thought. Her name was Marcia Lane, 38, a night janitor with soft-soled shoes and a sharp memory. Her uniform was too big, her ID tag bent, and her mop bucket had one wheel that squeaked like it needed therapy. She moved like silence, unless you were paying attention. No one ever did. But that Tuesday night, she paused. A team of execs had stayed late, the kind that speak in acronyms and never notice who's picking up after them. They talked loudly like people who were confident no one was listening. The company, Sensura Tech, was bleeding money, bleeding talent, bleeding patience from the board. A strategic shift was coming, and fast. One man said it like a joke. Maybe we should just fire everyone who still prints things. Laughter. Another chimed in, or cut the family health plan. No one even uses it anymore. More laughter. Marcia didn't laugh. She just stood there, hand on mop, pretending to scroll through her phone. Her jaw tightened. Her son, Caleb, needed that plan. He had asthma and a heart like his daddy's. Too big, too soft, too easily broken. She went home late. The lights in the hallway flickered. The elevator took too long. She carried a bag of discounted cereal and a used math workbook she found near the recycling bin. Caleb loved puzzles. He was already up, sketching rocket ships in the kitchen light. He looked up, saw her face, and asked, "Mom, you heard something again, didn't you?" She nodded. Caleb was 9, but he listened like he was 50. Every night she told him something from the world upstairs. "Only if it's smart stuff," she always said. That night she broke her rule. She told him everything, every word they said. He listened in silence, stirring the air with a pencil like it was a wand. The next morning, Caleb took his sketchbook and carefully added a new page. In it, a tower crumbled. Not from an earthquake, but from voices echoing inside. The next week, Caleb came to work with her, just for 1 hour, just to sit in the hallway with his workbook. But he heard something too, and then he said something out loud, something that would make the CEO stop walking and turn and stare. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how this unfolded. He didn't shout, he just asked a question, and that's when everything got quiet. The executive hallway at Sensura Tech had glass walls, cold lighting, and a silence that didn't welcome interruptions. The kind of silence that said, "You don't belong here." Especially not to a 9-year-old kid sitting cross-legged outside the conference room, scribbling equations in the corner of a workbook with a chewed-up pencil. But Caleb Lane was used to being invisible. His mother taught him how to move like background noise. His voice was soft, his thoughts were sharp. He remembered every acronym they ever whispered through those glass walls. That morning, Marcia had brought him in just for 1 hour. She said it was safer than leaving him alone at home. She gave him snacks, rules, and one condition. "If anyone talks to you, smile, but don't say a word. Promise me." He promised. But then the CEO walked by. Amanda Doyle, 47, blonde bob, navy blazer, leather heels that clicked like a countdown. Everyone stepped aside when she walked. Everyone lowered their voices, everyone except Caleb. She passed and he said it. Not loud, not rude, just clear. "If you remove the family plan, attrition in second-tier roles goes up 36%. That's in your Q2 reports." The hallway stopped. Amanda turned. People blinked. One man dropped his coffee lid. Another fake coughed like someone had to make a sound. Marcia appeared from the far side of the hallway like a ghost caught in headlights. She was wheeling her bucket. Her eyes darted between Caleb and the CEO. Then she saw Caleb's face. He looked calm. Amanda took a step closer. She crouched down, blazer stiff at the elbows, and asked, "Where did you hear that?" Caleb didn't flinch. "My mom heard it. I remembered it." Amanda looked past him, at Marcia. Something in her expression changed, barely. The corners of her mouth tightened. Not in anger, in calculation. She stood up and said nothing, walked away without a word. But the silence she left behind wasn't quiet. It was loaded. After that, things changed. Subtle things. Eyes that didn't make contact. Doors that took a little longer to open. One janitorial supervisor whispered, "Don't bring that kid again." Another handed Marcia a new shift schedule, one that made no sense. At home, Marcia sat with Caleb on the sofa, her hand on his. "You didn't do anything wrong," she said. "But I might have messed up," he whispered. She thought she was protecting him by keeping her head down, by surviving. But that night she realized something terrifying. They weren't afraid of her. They were afraid of what he might grow up to become. And they were trying to stop it now. The next day, Caleb stayed home, but he left something behind in the break room, a page from his notebook. Folded, anonymous. No one knew it was his, but someone picked it up, and everything started moving fast. This is the turning point. What happens next? You'll want to see how they respond when the system gets tested. The most dangerous thing she ever did was tell the truth when nobody asked her. It had been 3 days since Caleb spoke. 3 days since that line, dropped like a pebble, sent ripples down Sensuratech's glassy surface. No meetings were canceled, no memos were sent, but everyone was quieter. Marcia hadn't brought Caleb back. She scrubbed floors with more urgency, like she could clean away what happened. But her hands shook. Her bucket clattered louder. And when the break room emptied out that Friday night, she sat down for the first time in 12 hours, at the tiny corner table no one ever used. She pulled a napkin from the dispenser, the kind no one notices, and she wrote. No name, no title. Just a few words. If you fire the ones who listen, who will warn you when it breaks? She folded it, left it under a coffee mug, didn't look back. Monday morning. Amanda Doyle walked into her office at 7:01 a.m., alone. She liked it that way, but something on her desk wasn't from her assistant. A napkin, slightly smudged, with 6 words in slanted pen. She read it once, then again, and for some reason she didn't throw it away. Instead, she walked out. Through the hallway where Caleb had spoken, past the spot where the janitor always stood. She asked to see the employee schedule, quietly, asked to see the maintenance reports. Then she sat in her office with the lights off and stared at her reflection in the window. By noon, she'd called in 4 department heads, one after another. No one knew why, but something was shifting. 2 weeks later. Marcia was still mopping when the new HR rep stopped her. Young, stiff blazer, practiced smile. "You're Marcia Lane?" She nodded. "The CEO would like to see you." Marcia looked down at her sneakers, thought about declining, but something in her chest said, "Go." The elevator ride was silent. When she stepped into Amanda's office, the CEO didn't offer a seat, didn't offer coffee, just looked at her like someone seeing a cracked mirror, realizing they'd never seen the full reflection. "Was it your son?" Marcia froze. "The napkin," Amanda added. "And the numbers. I don't care about punishment. I care about systems that ignore sense." And what he said, that line, he was right. Amanda reached across her desk, slid over a paper. "We're starting a new program. Internal communication training, family inclusive, advisory roles from all departments." She paused. "Would you be willing to consult?" Marcia stared at her. This wasn't a promotion. This was something else, a shift, and she hadn't asked for it. But somehow, her son had opened a door, not by shouting, not by breaking rules, but by listening, by paying attention to the cracks in the system, then quietly putting a note in the wall, the kind no one sees, until the building starts to lean. You never know who's listening or who's brave enough to pass it on. Share this if it made you stop. And if you thought this story was something, there's a video on the channel about a delivery guy who ran into his childhood best friend, and that friend is now the CEO of a massive company. Go watch it. It changes everything.